someone is recording it.
Someone is recording it too.
Yeah, I think Prof is of recording the section, but then if she still wants to record it, I mean, no problem. Yeah, so you have the ranges. So what I say, as I was saying, you know where your exact is. So here you can see that our Python file is inside our desktop. So you have to make sure we navigate to our desktop. So here we're on the root file. That's our root directory, which is the for my case is what it's Rapture, right? That's my root directory. And we have to navigate to the desktop side. So here, change directory, which is CD. Then you name your directory name, which is desktop. Then since the file is on desktop, so you can run the file over there, right? So let's run our file and let's see how the loop will print out, right? So here we have what it's print out. So it's iterated. It went through the, so the first one was 0, second one was 1, the third one was 2 and 3 and 4, right? Yeah, so that's one example of using what loop. And also let's see how we can look through a list. So maybe have a list of fruits, right? And we want to look through them. Let's go through them, right? Let's see. So let's create our list first. So our list is this is how we create a list with a square bracket. Whenever you see a square bracket in Python, I mean that you're talking about lists, right? Right. So it's what we have. You have apple, banana, and kiwi, right? So we have a list of three what fruits. So we are going to look through the list. Meaning, you are going to go through what the list of fruits. So here we can say for let me bring space so that you see it. That's it. For fruit in fruits, you can use anything. So what I'm saying is that for fruit in fruit, meaning that for each fruit in the fruit list, I should print out what the fruit, right? So what this line of code is saying that for each fruit in the fruit list, print out what the fruit, right? Okay. Let's save it. Anytime you want to run your code, you have to make sure you save it before running it. Okay. All right. Wait. Let's see our output. All right. So there our for loop was able to go through the list over here and we're able to print out each apple, each fruit in the list, right? So every time so this fruit here we're having here is our variable name, which stores a list of what fruits. And with this fruit here, you can use any name or any letter or any alphabet for it. You can even do maybe for X in fruits, which whereby the X represents each item in the list, right? With this one, you cannot change it because that's the variable name, right? But with this one, you can change it to anything. So you can change this one to even X, right? X. So you change it to something that you have to change this one to because this print function is printing each element, right? So let's see whether we get the same line of code output. Yeah. So we had the output, right? So that's a way of looping through a list of items with a for loop. So let's look at while loop. While loop. So that's called also the infinite loop, right? So we want to create, maybe you have a number, right? Which the number you want to count, right? You want to count, do some counting. And we'll say that maybe if whenever we will go after each loop we should add. Okay, so let me explain it like this. We create a variable name called count, right? And what you want to do is that we create a while loop, which after every loop, we add one to the count, right? We add one to the count. Until maybe if the count is less than five, it continue the loop should continue to be looping until it's equal to one, then our loop will be over, right? So example of using while loop is maybe you have a set of numbers, right? And you have a list of numbers and you want to set a particular number, like maybe 80, right? So you can let you use the while loop to go through all the list and be like, if anytime whilst this one is if not we are not whilst a loop is true, it should go through until we meet a particular number called 80. Then we can exit the loop, right? So I can use loop for a lot of instances, right? So as I'm going forward, maybe I can see examples of how we can use loop, like the while loop, right? So with the while loop, what it does is that it goes through a list or something until a particular condition is met, right? Then the loop will what to break and continue with whatever as the code to do, right? Yeah, so that was called infinite loop. And if you don't take care and don't write it well, your code that loop can run forever because it's based on condition. Okay. So let's look at example. So here we can have something like we have count is equal to 0, and we say that whilst count is less than 5, you should print out the count. Print out each number for the count, and after that, so what this is saying that after each iteration, add what one the count. So this a simple way of of adding, but in most cases, it can be like this. This for beginners, right? So this the exact thing of this exact as this as count equal to right. These two things, this and this is the same. So this is saying that after each iteration, after each loop, while loop, add one to the count, which is 0, right? So I mean that after the first one, as far as this condition, you haven't made this condition. So this is the condition you've set, saying that whilst the count is less than 5. Also, whilst it's less than 5, the value of the count less than 5 should continue to loop through and be adding one until this condition is false. Then you break out of that particular loop. Then you move on to another thing, right? So that's what exactly while loop mostly does. So maybe you have a list of gender, right? And you are searching through saying that if whilst maybe gender is called to me, we continue to loop until maybe we meet what a female. So maybe whilst it meets if you meet a male to continue until you meet a female, right? So it's conditions, right? Okay, so let's try and see what this line will print out. All right. So sorry. So because I'm having two counts here, let me move on. Okay, that's why you're having some weird. Yeah, but you can write it in both ways. Either the plus here without a count or count, but assuming that you take the value of count, add one and then put it inside count again, right? That's what this kind of code is saying. Let's run the code. Right. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So as after getting to 4, mean that it will start again. And after starting again, it means that 5 is not less than 5. So mean that you can run this particular set of code again, right? Or block of code again. Mean that the loop will break, right? So yeah, that's how we use loops. So that's the while loop. Okay, it's based on condition. While the condition is not met, it continue to what to run until that condition is what it's met. So let's move on to the functions. Using some maybe using some of the while loop or for loop inside our function, so we'll get to understand it well, right? Okay. So first of all, we start with functions with parameter, right? Functions with parameter. Okay, so here, what I'm saying is that we will we create a function that takes in a parameter, right? And then and here it takes an argument, right? And the argument will be the name, with the parameter. The name will be the parameter, right? So here like the case, we pass in the name, then whatever inside the function will print it out. So this in this case is greetings. Okay. So greetings. So let's create the function. Last week I was saying to create a function, you need a div function, the div function, yeah. Then let's create our function name. So this is the function name, something like greet person. All right, this is a function name which takes an argument of what name. Okay, then we'll print out the name of the person. So here, what it's saying is that take the name of a person and says hello. Then we have the name over here. Okay, yeah. So that's what this line of code is saying. Take each name of the person. And so let's call a function. So in program, whenever you want to use the function, call the function. You call the function and use it. You call it, right? So you call a function by using the function name. So let's see, greet. That the function name is called greet person. Then the name, let's use Alice, right? So this is what you are saying. You're saying you create a function called greet person, right? And we are what you are doing here is that we've called a function, and inside the function is taking a parameter. It passes an argument uh, name, right? So calling the function with an argument, which is Alex. So Alex is the argument here, which will be used to replace what the name you have here, right? So wherever the function, whenever I call a function, you pass in a name. So you can put any name here, or even so in most cases, if you want to make the code very dynamic and not hard code it, use an input function whereby you take a name from the user or the name based on the name. So, for example, when you're logging into a system, what they will do sometimes they'll ask you for your username and enter your username. So the moment you log in or create an account, you see welcome and your username. So that's what they do. They will create a then after taking those inputs from you, they'll store the username in a variable or in wherever they want to save it. Then they'll call that function. The function will be it says the hey, welcome this user. Then it will add a username to it. So that's similar thing. That's the similar thing we are doing here right now. So let's run a code and see how so the output of the code, right? So you can see it says hello Alex. So it will place the name with the Alice over here. Okay, so that's what this love code. Also, in the let's try and use another example. So here, what we do is that we will make sure we will take input from the user, right? We will take an input from the user. Then based on that input, we will call our function to send greetings to that particular user. So let's use user is equal to input, right? So what is saying is that what this line of code is saying that user is equal to input. So this line of code is taking an input from the user. They enter your name. So the user will see this particular message, enter. So they enter your name, whatever name your user will enter will be stored in the user variable in the form of string, right? To store here. Then after storing the user here, we'll call our function. This function, we'll call it here and pass in the argument, which is the user, which will be the name the user entered, right? Then that particular name will be used over here, right? So let's see. So it says enter your name, right? So Evans. So it says hello Evans, right? So that's what this is doing. Those messages you see, the welcome message you see in your portal and stuff, those things are all this how the logic is being they write the logic, right? You take the username, save it in the variable, you pass it into the argument, sorry, the function, then how you want it to appear, So most cases you'll see they will use something like welcome, welcome to yeah, welcome, like this. So you see that when you run it, so it says welcome King, then there you go. So yeah, if you have any question, you can ask me before I go to the next um type of function that the return values. So here you pass in numbers, right? You pass in two numbers. Then inside your function, the function use your function to do calculation to add two numbers, right? So you've created a function inside the code which add numbers, right? So you take two numbers as an argument, right? Then you do the calculation everywhere, and then it will return the value for you. Okay. So let's look at how that particular function we also go about, right? So first of all, let's write our function, starting with our function name, which is a function. Yeah. Then we say add numbers. Then we will have a parameters which is a and b. So what this thing is saying here is that our function name is called add numbers, which with the parameter a and b. You mean that you'll be taking arguments, two arguments, right? Okay. So then return the a and b, a plus b. So to return the answer for a and b. So you can even write this if you want to so for a beginner, maybe answer is equal to a plus b before you bring your return here, which is the answer. So you're returning your answer, right? Or in the simple, you can just do return, then bring
Hello,
this from
sir.
that. Yeah.
Please, if I write the def add underscore numbers, like it's the underline it's red.
When you write what?
The def and add underscore numbers. Why you say we should
Like
add
the way
numbers?
yeah, like the way I've written it here.
Yes, please.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Maybe I'm doing some mistake because the dev here you have a space between. Then the function name is add numbers, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Then you bring your square your this one your brackets, and you have your two parameters, which is the a and b. Then you bring your semicolon. Then you do a calculation. Then return the answer, right? So just make sure you're writing the same thing.
That's what I'm writing.
Can you take a shot of your code and send it to my DM? Let me see what exactly the
No.
output is. Let me drop my number here.
Hello, sir.
Yeah.
Okay. So running the code.
All right.
I don't understand why all the time you write the the section before you run the code.
Yeah, because the section is the Python file in which you have your code. Okay.
Okay,
So
so I'm listening.
yeah, we are saying something.
But assuming that when you write the code, after writing the code, when you run it on using the run section, the the section name will come by itself.
So when you're using this side, right? I'm talking about this side.
Yes, actually, yes.
Yes. So what this side is doing is that he's doing all the heavy lifting for you. Okay. You
Okay.
see, VS Code, you added a lot of features whereby you don't need to. They find they tell you find it easy to run your code. So if you click on this particular button, what it does is that it's run that the file you are inside. So it's run this particular file. So you don't need to, because even if you click, you don't even need to even type your Python 3 section.py, because what this one is saying that this particular line of code here, this particular button here has already this code inside already. They've so it's like this thing have been put inside an interface and they put a button on top of it, right? So mostly if you run this one, it will run in the output this section here, right? Mostly to run it in this section here, you see. So yeah, you see, this is what you're talking about, right?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So as you can see, it's saying that it's running the section.py, right? It's running this file. So it went straight to the, you see, it went through all the directory and it's run that particular file, right? But in our case, we are doing it ourselves. We are not taking that information from this one. From we are not allowing we are not trying to allow the VS Code to do all those things because we're trying to learn, right? And see
Okay.
how, because you see, this is when if you once you are using this, if you are working like something small like this, it's good for you to can use this one. But just imagine you're doing something like, let me see, um, example of okay, let me see. You see, when you have a code like this with this kind of files inside, right? You cannot use. You see, there's not even a button here. How to get it?
Yes.
Because this time we're writing a full application, a mobile application,
Okay.
like
Okay.
yeah. So in that case, so you want to, this is what you're running, and this is what you're trying to run, something like a mobile app like this. So and you're writing this code. So that one you cannot run. When you run here, it doesn't know where it's going to, because this particular program here, it has an entry point where you enter, where the code starts from, which will not be in this particular file. It's mostly in the your root file, which is your in this case is inside our app, the app.js. Where's the app.js? Yeah, so inside of our just so yes, whenever you write. So mean that in your case you have to run on a terminal because it's a line of code that you have to run, right? So in this case, when you look at this, the like this is the code so this is the code that's run this particular app, right? Which you in that case you cannot use VS Code, that the button here. So that the reason why the VS Code is giving you this version here is for you to easily run a simple line of code like this one. Types and also yeah in Python, right? But then you see when you're building an actual product, you have set of types. You can have your integer, you can have your string. So and then that one we're not running it to print out something on the code, because you're running it for the code to run. So just imagine maybe you're building a backend for a product. You are running it to be so that the backend will be running, so you can test your backend. See, as you run the code, run the code to give you an output inside the section, right? So we only see our output here if you add if you add a print function to it. So the print function will only give you the output in the terminal. So it's not in most cases when I'm really building something, you don't really use the print function because, or let's say you want to test whether something is working, right? So you'll be mixing your all the data types based on how you're running the code, right? So you can run all together, yeah, like based on so a bit is the code you're writing is syntax, right? And the syntax can be a whole lot of things. Maybe you're building a login system. So definitely you'll be taking user strings, that's the string, the username, the also be string. You'll be doing conditions to check whether the username inside the database. That will be a condition. So here you're using two data types. That's the conditional statement and also this strings, right? And also we use a function whereby to go through the whatever user have to make the comparison whether the username is inside the database and the password also matches the username and stuff before you. So you'll be doing a whole lot of writing a whole lot of data types, a whole lot of things in one particular line of code, right? So what you are doing here is that I'm taking you guys through the various data types and how you can use them in your code. Maybe in our last example, we will make use of all these data types and see how they work together to achieve a particular result. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So I've seen your code. You sent me the code, but it seems I cannot see all because the pointer is on the function name. So I don't know what is after there. So if you can send another image, because after the div add, I don't see the next thing. So if you can actually send the image again, I'll see what exactly is there. Okay, but okay, it says it's okay now. Okay, all right. Okay, so let's continue. Right. So here, what you need to do is we're adding two numbers and I return the answer. So the next one to work here is to create a variable, right? So our variable name will maybe our sum, our results or something. Results. So results is equal to what? So here we will call our function. We will we call our function, they will pass in two numbers, right? So our function name is called underscore. So yeah, so what you are doing here is that we've created a variable name called results, okay? Name called results. And we are calling our function. So this function, you're calling it here. And inside the A and B, we says, so what it means that the A will represent as what 2, and wherever we see B2, we'll put what? 3 there. Then so mean that after calling a function and putting this one there, it will do the magic for you. The function will do whatever you want to do. It will do for you. That's the adding the and return the answer. So the answer will be returned and be stored in the results variable here. So here we can print our answer out. So let's run our code and see what we will get. Wow, we had an error. So it's saying, oh, I went to run a different Python file rather. So Python 3. Yeah. So yeah, the answer is what? 5. Our answer is 5. It's because 2 plus 3 is 5. So let's try and make it more dynamic by letting the user enter the two numbers. Right. Now 1 input. Input and here what you need to do is that you have to make sure the number last time I was telling you guys, if you enter a number, it will be form of string. So you have to make sure you change it to what? This one, an integer before you do your calculation. So what this number is saying that first we'll take a first number from the user, right? You enter a first number, then you take the second number from the user. Then you create another variable called result. The result will call the function. So after calling the function, it will after calling the function, it will take the number here and place it here, and this number here and place it here. So whatever the user will enter, it will take those two numbers and put inside our function in the calculation. For example, that's how calculator is being hard coded, right? You enter whatever figure you enter, and you call a function. So maybe you have the addition function and you have the this one function. So if you and input your numbers and you press enter, to just go and do the calculation inside the function, then return you your answer, right? So that's what you are doing. You take the first number, you take the second number, then call the function and put those numbers inside the function. Then to do the addition for us and return an answer. And the answer will be stored here. And in this one, we are saying that the print function is to what? To print sum of the number you entered, the first number you entered, and the number you entered is then give you the result, which is the result after we put inside our function, right? This is a little bit complex, but it's very easy. This one is just a print function, whereby we are using this one is a variable, so we put them in what in the curly braces. You have three variables, so with the three variables, you put all of them in the curly braces if you are using the format string. Okay, yeah. So let's see what we'll get out of this line of code. So it's saying enter first number. So let's say 45. Second one will be 60, 56. It says the sum of 45 and 56 is 100 and what? 1. Okay. So this is as simple as you can see. All right. So this is one of the best ways of using a function. And you see, as I said, functions are they are reusable block of code that perform a specific task, right? They help organize your code and make it more what's maintainable. Okay, so you can call the function anytime you want to call the function to perform an action for you. Okay,
Hello, sir.
yeah. Are you
Please,
asking?
why is that the print? Yes, the print before the sum of this F inside. But my own, what I tried, I didn't bring F, but it came exactly. Print
Were you, were you
into
here,
brackets F.
were you here last week? Were you here last week? Can you
Please
hear
no.
me?
Please no.
Okay.
Please
So,
no.
all right. If someone can explain to him, because last week I taught you guys two ways of printing out an output. So that's where they try to write a string, right? There are two ways of writing a string. So what you are doing is another way of writing a string, and this one's another way. This is the current way and the best way of writing a string that is being used right now in the industry. So the other way you are talking about is you can use the prints as in you have so here you're talking about this one, right? Something like this, right? Without using the format string, right?
Yes, please.
Yeah. So these are the
Yes,
two
please.
ways. Yeah. Okay. These are the two ways of writing a string. Okay. And when we look at it, for me personally, when you look at it, even this one is what you are being used in the industry right now because it's formatted very well and it look nice. This may sound easy, but then you have to make sure each and every time you bring your comma wherever you have your variable, and also use this ones and the result to the comma before the this one. But with this one, it's help easy for the user to understand, and if you need yourself to understand, because you see you have the format string, which is the only difference over here, f in front of the the quotes, right? And whenever you want to add a variable inside your string, you put them in what? A curly braces. So you see, it separates the normal string inside your this one from the other one, so you get to see it very well. But here, if not because of the highlighting, because sometimes you're writing the code, some editors don't highlight the code for you. They don't highlight some of the variables from the string and other stuff. So you see them all to be one color. So the other one there, if you don't actually know what you are doing, here you're confused because you may not know, because here you have to put this one in a quote, then write this one, and also put this one in the quote, the n in the quote, and write this one, and put x in the quote and write this one. Here, just write your statements, but the ones, the variables inside, you just put them in the curly braces, right? So this is what is being used right now in the industry. Even though this, as a beginner, you may try to be familiar yourself with this one, but I think learning how to write this in a form of this is very, very easy, and pick it out and go about it. So yeah, they're all the same. Last week, I just explained to them the reason why I use this. All right. Okay. So we can continue. Okay. All right. So the next one to talk about is um we we will have something like um, so maybe we have multiple parameters. For example, it's like maybe calculating. Let's try and calculate the area of a rectangle. Okay, area of a rectangle using the code, which is similar to this one. So let's see how we can go about that. After that, we go on to um, we look at other examples and see how some complex examples and as far as functions and is concerned, right? Example whereby we'll be using if statements inside a function, right? So we will look at that one too. When we will try to do some GPA calculator, whereby the function will calculate our GPA for us based on the results we had. Okay. All right. So let's let's do the let's try and calculate the area of a rectangle first. Then we move on. So one thing I'll tell you guys is that programming is sometimes it sound easy when someone is teaching and you're looking at it. It's it's and then maybe you'll be confused, but it's more easier if after it you do it yourself and you do it over and over again. It become easy and it become a second nature. It's like a language. Learning a language for the first time is maybe you relocate to a country whereby they speak like me Spanish. You don't know how to speak Spanish, so at that point you'll be confused, right? Because you don't whatever they are speaking is like a mystery to you, right? But as long as you continue to hear the same word over and over again, know what it means, it become one part of you, and you'll be able to do it seamlessly, right? The same thing applies to programming language. If someone writing it look complicated and somehow confusing. But then the moment you dedicate yourself to do it one day after the other, to become easy and you can see it as something that is normal as speaking a language, right? Yeah. So if you're finding yourself you're finding it difficult to understand it, yeah, it's normal. But then if only you try to do it yourself over and over again, you begin to find it easy and your second nature, and you'll be able to do it without even looking at what the person is doing. Okay. And programming is thinking, right? If the moment you understand the logics and how the syntax works, you use your thinking to solve problems. So the main purpose of programming is to solve problem, right? If you know how to program, then the rest is using your mind to solve a problem. When you're given a problem that, oh, we want to build this for us that can do the A, B, C, D, then you use a programming language and your idea about what they want you to do, then you find a way to solve the problem for them. Okay. So calculate, angle, area. So here we are looking for what you are doing here is that we are calculating the area of a rectangle. So we'll be taking the length and the width, right? Then the area will create a parameter, a variable called area, and it will be equal to you multiply the length times the width. Because to find the area, you need to multiply with the length times width, right, to get the area. Then we get our answer, which is the area. So here we we what we will create a variable called rectangle. Rectangle area, which is equal to, then we call our function. Our function name is what? Calculate rectangle. So here, what we are doing is that we've called our function, then we pass in an argument that's the length is what? 5, and the weight is what? 3. Okay. Then we print out. So here we can say that let's use rectangle area is equal to, so the rectangle area, then we give the what our answer over here. I hope you get it, right? So here, let's try to run the line of code and let's see the output we'll get. Right, so I said the output is what, 15, because it took this 5 and 3, put them as the length and the width, and multiply them and return the answer as area. Then here it being stored here, and you print it here saying rectangle area is equal to what, 15, right? So that's it for calculating area of what, a rectangle. So let's go on to the so here you can write your own function to calculate the maybe temperature. You can write the function for temperature converter, right? You can continue over there. So the so the what's your name? Is it you can call Vivian? Okay, Vida.
Vida.
Yeah, sorry. So Vida, yeah, so all you're having is that you've put a space between your calculate underscore and all then the rectangle area, right? There's not supposed to be any space between this side, right? If this is what you've done, you put space here. Yeah, this section there's a space. That's why it's giving an error. So it's separating the underscore from the rectangle area. Whenever you're writing a variable name or a function name, you're not supposed to have a space between. So
Okay.
make sure you fit the space. And also you have to make sure you indent your code. You see, you've read all the code on the The function like the it's like a cover or maybe a container, right? Like a container, and these things are inside. So mostly this one is not supposed to have the same. It's not supposed to be like this. It's to give
Okay.
you an error. As you guys can see, they've highlighted your return function
Yes, please.
because yeah, it has to be inside the function. Yeah.
Okay.
So anytime you create a function, whatever comes under the function have to be inside. Unless so these things are not inside the function; they are outside the function because they are doing a different thing. But these things is what the function does. These are like what is going on in the function. So what is going on in the function have to be inside the function. Aside
Okay.
that, everything can be right.
All
So you
right.
have to make sure you end them. Right. So mostly use your tab. You can use your tab when it's here like this. Use your tab key. One, just tap on it one, then you have indentation.
It's done. Thank you.
So let's do some. Let's do some calculation before our GPA function, right? Let's do some simple calculator. Let's write the calculator function right here. Let's try and do it. So what you're going to do is that you write a function called calculator. Then you pass in. So the calculator will take two parameters, right? Num num one, num two, and also another argument, which is what the operation. Sorry, the operation or the operator. Let me clean this thing. So what you're going to do is that when the when the user may we allow the user to enter two numbers, right? And then also enter the operation you want to perform, whether it be subtraction, addition, multiplication. So we'll be doing four, right? Um, addition, subtraction, and also multiplication, division. So what we'll say in the function is that here we're using if statement because you have to check for the condition, the operations. The operator you have to check the condition for the operator. All right. So we say that what we say is that if operator is equal to, so meaning what you are using here meaning that is equivalent, right? If it's equivalent to, so anytime two equals, I mean you are using equivalent, meaning in tree you call it a pepe, right? So then you see if the operator is equal to plus, then we will turn we do this calculation, right? We do this calculation. Mean that it's addition, so we return num one, this one, then num one, and num two. That's if whatever the user entered what addition. Then we come back to what our elif statement. So this elif, those who come to the other class, they know what the elif means. I was saying addition is more than two. You'll be using elif, right? Inside. So elif operator is equal to, so here let's work with our subtraction. Okay, let's return num one minus num 2. Then you bring another LF again, which also says this one is for multiplication, right? Okay, this one is for multiplication. So it says LF operator is equal to this sign, or this sign is multiplication. Let's return this times this. Okay, the last one is what? For division. Okay, you cannot leave it like this because you have to end with what? An else. So the else will be like else, let's return what? Invalid what? Operation. You know, the user enter something that is not within these three operations, right? So else invalid what? Return invalid operator. Okay. So let's take an input from the user. We take input from the user called so first number 1 is equal to input right. So this I try to auto do it so I go fast, right? So first this line of code is saying you create a variable called number 1 and you're taking an input from the user, taking the first input from the user. That's the first number. And number 2 also taking the second number from the user. And then the operator, so it's also taking the operator from the user. So, or you can enter operation. Maybe that's what will be easy for you to understand. Enter operation. So here it says enter operation, which should be either addition, multiplication, subtraction, multiplication, or division. Then after that, our results, we create a variable called results equal to, then we call our function. Let's call our function calculator. Then we pass in these three things. So that's what to be used here. That's what we pass inside two arguments. So whatever the number we enter here will be stored here. This one will be stored here. This one will be stored here. We can use these things inside our function. Then we will do the calculation. So we have a number saying, so our number 1, number 2, let's do once again for 64, 96. Then let's do multiplication.
Yeah, please, your screen is not
I
sharing.
can't see your screen.
Oh, really?
Yes, please, you are not sharing it.
Oh, then I think the network just messed up. Can you see it now?
Yes, sir.
Can you see my screen now? So, from when did you start? You guys
Right now.
expect right now? Okay, then that's fine. Right. So we tested for multiplication, right? So right now, what you do? Let's try and see whether let's try and make sure we have something that is not within the operation. Let's see the information we get. result is invalid operator because that's what we in any of these conditions, we should return what invalid operator. Okay, yeah. So that's it for calculating. Be taking two numbers and also specifying the arithmetic or the operations that are supposed to perform on that particular numbers, right? Yeah. So if you have any questions so far, let me know before we look at our last question. That's the GPA calculator. So here, what we'll do is that, so not a grade calculator. So what we do is that we take this one, a grade from the user, right? Just simple as this one. What we're going to do is that we take a grade from the user and we'll check whether the grade fall within A, say an A, B, C, D, or F, or E or F, right? So we allow the user to enter their grade. So here we can enter assignments, I then exams. Then we do the calculation. So doing the calculation, they will check whether the user is failing, passing, or doing this one, right? I think it will be interesting. Let's see how it goes. So first of all, let's create our function called GPA grade, which takes in three parameters, which is assignment, uh, midterm, and final. Then we our answer will be, so um so let's see the the assignments will be 30%, I will be 30%, and all that will be what? 30%. Okay. So what we do is that, so what's this particular let's try and change this one to 30%. 30%. Okay. And 30%. So what's this line of code is doing that? We have our variable called answer, right? And inside the answer we have assignments. Assignment to be strike down to what? 30%. The make term, which is the IE, to 30%, and exams will be what? 40%, which will make up what? 100%. Okay. Then if so, based on what we do at that time, if so, let's go to according to the grading system, right? This one will be um, see 70, 60.
Hello, sir. Please, if sir in the class.
I think he's having some technical issue.
Okay.
Hello. Anybody here? Hello.
Yeah, champion, we did.
Okay, okay.
Sorry, okay, my network just. Uh, can you guys hear me? You guys can hear me, right?
Yes, sir.
All right, all right. So let's continue. Sorry, I had a call. So let's take input from the user, which is there. midterm score, right? And also the final exam score. Then we will have a result. So that's the result will be what? A result variable whereby we call the function and we pass in the grade for the marks for the assignment, the midterm, and also the final hot exams. Okay. So let's see. Let's see how when you run the line of code, the output will be having. Sorry, let me save it. Okay, so we run it. Uh, so we it says invalid data. So we are having some issue here, which says let me see. I'm coming there. It seems. Let me see. Let me write assignments is equal to and also make them right. Then we store our answers like this. Seems all right. Excuse me. Seems this one is giving some error. So let's test this one. Let's see. Then after that, multiply our answer by 100. All right. So what I'm doing now is that I'm trying to do a calculation separately. Then I'll add them later, right? So here I'm taking the assignments divided by 3 and also 0.3. So it's like all will be equal to, and the answer, which is the final answer, let's multiply it by 100, right? So I mean that whatever the user will get, multiply it what by 100. Okay, right. Let's let me clean this side. So we are saying that, let me explain it for you guys before we run the code, right? So what this function is saying is that we take arguments, assignments, midterm, and what final exams, and also with the assignments, we create a variable called assignments, and inside assignment we take this assignment here and we multiply it by what 3.0. The same thing plus with the midterm and also the exams we multiply by what final exams is equal to 0.4. So in all, it will be over 1, right? The answer will be 1. Then when you have the answer, we multiply it by 100, which will give us our 100%, right? Then we solve it in answer. Then we check the condition. Person had A, B, C, D, or F, right? So yeah, that's what we are saying over here. This may be a little bit complicated, but then I think you have to get it. All right. Let's see whether our logic will give us the same answer we are expecting. Right. So let's try and put this one here so that's to give us some space. All right, so let's run our code. Let's run our code and see. So enter as assignment. So assignment maybe it was about 460, right? 60 per assignment. So it will convert to 30%. Midterm was also maybe 40 or 45, right? The exams was 90 questions, which you may see 90 questions in your exams too. Yeah. So it says A. The person had an A, right? So this one was strike down. This one was strike down, and this one was also strike down, right? So mean that if the assignment was over, let's try and specify it here. Assignment score. Maybe over 60, right? And also this one also over out of IA maybe out of 50. The exams will be out of 90 or 100, but then to drag down to 40%. Okay, so let's see how our I mean that you have to check the code you have here again, right? Because what you have here it means that everything is over 100, which is being struck down to 30%, 60%, which so let's try and think about a logic we can place here so that I don't that if you write the so maybe this 30 then 70, right? I don't know, it will just be a. So let's see the assignment over what assignment is about 60, right? Yeah, and also one it's about 50. The final exam which is also over 100, right? Right. Okay, exactly. So what is say what we've done here is that assignment whatever the user will get over the 60 times 0.3, which forms was 30% of the total what marks. The midterm two, the midterm was about 50, and whatever you get to multiply by what 30 or 0.3, which form 30% of the overall marks. Exam is about 100. Whatever the user will get, we multiply by what 0.4, which form what 40% of the total what marks. So right now, since we have our logic, everything right, let's see having our A. So maybe the person about 60, the person had like 30. That's assignments. And this one, person had like 27. And then the person had like 60. Oh, this is so getting A.
Hello, sir.
Yeah,
Sir, please, from the 60%, the assignment,
yeah,
yeah, you said you multiply it by you multiply it by 0.3.
yeah.
So let's say 60% over 100 will give you 0.6 times
Yes.
0.3. So you get 0.18.
I'm coming. So if let me print out this and let's see what we get here, right? Then we'll see. So this one of the uses of the function. This one the print function. In case you are doing some logic and you are finding difficult around it, you can use the print function to check whether your output is being correct. Let's see. Let's run the code here first. So that you test for what you are saying. Let's see. So if the assignment, if the user had if the user gets 36,
Sir, please, so
right?
it's assignment over 100 over 60.
So over 60. So whatever the user will get, right, we multiply by this.
Mm,
You get it.
yes, please.
Yeah. So it will just so the whatever the user gets for here, I got to just multiply it with what 100.
100.
Then we get our final answer.
Okay.
But then let me see what is missing because we keep getting A. And I don't know whether the logic is coming from here. The issue is coming from here or here.
Please, I think it's supposed to be times 30, not 0.3 or because
So
the
it,
answer we are getting times 100. That's a whole number. It wasn't times 0.1 or something. So times 30 will be.
are you sure?
Yeah, because 40 over 60 times 30, I think we are going to get 20.
So
That
if
is a reasonable.
all right, so if that's the case, are you maintaining this one, or are you moving this one?
Let's maintain.
Okay, let's see how it goes. Let's mass. Maybe he had a 60 in the exams. So okay, let me print out this again and see whether your example is also working. Let's try to give lower numbers. Let's see. So all right. So maybe this one, the user had a. So I think we need to, if you're using like this, we need to remove this one, right? Because else, let's print our answer out. Then let's see what the answer will be giving us. Right. So here we will see whether we are getting a religious number here or something. Right. So enter something low. Hey, sorry. Okay. Then 36. Right. So I think you have to remove. So you see, the answer is printing 8,100. So I think we have to move this 100 over here. That's what is causing this. Right. So I think when we move the 100 over here, we're able to get a correct answer. Right. So here, let's run it again. So in case the assignment the user had 24, IA the user had 32, and the exam the user had 31. Yeah, I think you have the correct logic now. So see, um, yeah, the user had 55, which is greater than 50 but less than 60. So yeah, the D is correct, right? So yeah, there's logic and mathematics and arithmetic. Sometimes it's just confusing, right? So yeah, this is how it's being. Let me go over the code again. So what the layer of code is saying is that we have a function called grade, okay, which take a parameter of assignments, midterm, and final exams. Okay. And with this one, the assignment, we create another variable called assignments, okay, which is equal to the assignment that will be taken from the user, the marks will be taken, divided by 60 because it's over 60, and multiplied by 30. So meaning that it will form 30% of the final what uh, marks. Then the midterm also the same thing. We also take we create a variable called midterm, take a variable from the user, or sorry, an argument from the user. Whatever the user will input over 60, over 50 times 30. So I think whatever is happening here is mass, which I'm not the one supposed to teach you, right? Now, you with your math, you have your math background, you're able to play around the arithmetic over here. So whatever you are seeing here, just arithmetic, just add multiplication, division, and stuff, right? Yeah. So another day we have your percentage, 30% for assignments, 30% for midterm, and also the 40% for exams. They add all, you put them inside an answer variable. They check if the answer we had is less than 8, is greater or equal to means A. The same up to what? F. So mean that whatever is less than 50 is F. Then you allow the user to enter those inputs. And you call the function, put those inputs inside the function. Function will do this logics or then return the answer to the results and we print out our answer, right? So yeah, this seems a little bit complex, but then if you know how to use your function, you know how to use your logics, that's the conditional statement, the if, else, elif, and also you know how to use your input function. The rest is your problem solving skill. Then you're good to go, right? So yeah, so that's it. If you have any question, you can ask me so I'll explain. If not, we can end it here. So as you guys will go and digest this and try and also maybe in free time you can try and take multiple for different courses. Then after that you can calculate the user's GPA. So whatever you get here can be a loop, right? You can put this one inside a while loop, right? That maybe whilst maybe number is equal to count is equal to maybe 5 courses. Maybe the number of courses you are doing is what? Maybe is 6. So whilst loop is equal to 6, or sorry, less than 7, you continue to perform this action, you continue to take this user, then you can do these calculations. So mean that you take different 6 different set of grades from the user. After that, after getting all your results for those 7 courses or 6 courses, you add them, you divide it by the number of credit hour, yeah, you get your GPA. It's a little bit trivial, but then I think it's easy. We will prove this all you need. The rest is just the for loop, then you can work around it. At least if you're able to do that particular many tasks, you are good to go. You are far gone as far as Python basics is concerned. Like so, try and test. My number is in the group. You can try to test the example based on what you've done right now. But here you're taking different two different set of results for different courses from the user. Maybe you and I can share um your results with me in my DM, then I can check it and see if you're facing an issue too. I can jump on a call with you, then I'll walk you through the best way. Okay. So if you have any question, you can go ahead and ask me. I'll mute yourself, then just ask me.
Hi, hello, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I wanted to find out how do you go about the pseudocode? I know currently there are challenges. You see how you are able to tell, okay, at this step, let's assign this function or this arithmetic to this value, and then the next ones you go like if else. That particular procedure. Usually, I know we do it with pseudocode, but do you know any resource that we can use to build out our, um, I mean, logic creating? Because we might have all these definitions and if else in mind, but when the problem comes, how to go about it step by step, thinking through how to implement that particular code is a challenge. If you
So
know, how did you?
yeah, so I think with pseudocode is about uh you have a function, then your conditions, right? So that is more in an English form. You don't write any syntax like this, but the same structure though, but in an English form, right? So example is so that's what I'm saying. If you understand your code, if you how to write the code, you have to write your pseudocode before even. So example maybe user registration function, right? You have like a function to register a user. So maybe you have function in English form, right? But here to be our div. So function register user, into brackets, maybe you take the user type and also the business details. Then inside that particular function, you have your if user type is equal to seller, it's user detail. Then so pseudocode is like English, but it's in a structure form, right? It's in a structure form, like the way we've this indentation. But all this will be like an English statement. So here we write function. The function name is maybe uh, get user grade. You put it in a bracket. Then you pass your parameters like this. So instead of really writing this code, be in a form of English statement like if. So here will be like if the answer is equal to that the 80 like this, then return this answer, return A as an answer, as the result. Else, like so, that's how pseudocode is just in a programmable way, but then use an English way to write your pseudocode. Okay, which you don't need to write this logic like that, but then even though it to be in a logic form, but then to be a more English statement form, right? So instead of using the maybe save your answer in the maybe assign this to answer, you may use save your answer in a variable called this one. Like so, pseudocode is just uh, a logical representation of the code you're going to write. But here you're writing it in a statement form. You're using the blocks as we've arranged, but it has to be in what in English like readable form, right?
Yeah, I think probably I didn't come out clearly. Yes, I understand. But so how then? Because right now we could see that you had mastered it so much that you are able to already structure it. Like, okay, you want to create um a function to check the student's grade, and you already know that your function has to take three parameters when you're defining it. You already know that your function will take three parameters. You have to define them. So how do we build a skill to structure the code ourselves without looking at anybody else's code? It's like you already have a blueprint of what you want to do. So that's what I'm asking. How do we come by the blueprint of our program before we start even writing the pseudocode out and
All right.
even putting in the
So
syntax here?
first of all, you need to understand what pseudocode actually is, right? So pseudocode is a informal code like text used to describe an algorithm or program logic. Okay, right? So whilst you're using it, you may avoid specific English language though, but you may use simple maybe English mixture of programming concepts like the for loop, the for whilst and return and if statements, right? So in terms of pseudocode, we have the concepts as the variables, which as we're running the code, as we're going to the code procedure I was teaching you guys, we have the if else. For any pseudocode, you know that you'll be using this concept like if else. Whenever the question they've given you, you know there's a logic inside. So you see, the problem statement they'll give you as the question. You need to look at it and see whether there's a condition inside, right? If there's a condition, mean that in a pseudocode you'll be using something like an if else inside. You check whether you'll be iteration or you'll be going through some set of numbers or a list of items. If you see that the question you'll be going through a list of items, mean that inside pseudocode we'll be having a loop, right? We'll be having a loop. And if maybe you're doing some additions and returning an answer, mean that we'll be using your function, right? So it's if you, based on the problem structure, what they've given you, then you would determine whether you're using the concept of variables. That's the concepts. That's the variables declaration. You're using the conditional statements. You're using the iteration, the loops, function, or an input and output, right? So it's based on the question they'll give you, and also if you know you'll be using the while loop to solve your problem, mean that you know there's an iteration, right? So you start with the pseudocode with a function. Then we have a function to reverse, maybe a function to reverse a list. You know that you have a function. Then inside the function, you have your since iteration. You have your the current inside iteration. You have your while loop. So where is and where is ending, right? So pseudocode is you just understanding the problem statements and you using those concepts to just write your pseudocode. That's all, right? Because if you don't need to even know how to program to write the pseudocode,
You see,
you just have to
the
know.
reason yeah, so the reason I'm asking is because for example, what you've done here, I can understand it very well. But if I go back and then I'm to do it myself, that will become a challenge. So there's something they call vibe coding. Usually we use AI and then we're able to debug with the programming skill. But let's say without AI, and then you want to build your own program to do something. That thought process that, okay, this program, I want to, okay, probably let's say set a counter. I want to now create a variable that will store the numbers, and then that would add the numbers and create a for loop. Like, whilst the number is less than a certain number, it should continue adding. Like that thought process, is my challenge because right
Yeah,
now I could see that. Yeah, I could see that even without the AI, you can just create your own function, and you can tell that, okay, first step I have to define my parameters with an assignment. That thought process of bringing it together. Sometimes we can see the code, we can understand, but when they tell you to build the code yourself from scratch,
yeah,
now
you can
it's
become
another
struggling.
thing.
So I think
Yeah.
that one is a matter of practice. Okay. So as I was saying, the moment you give a problem statement, like let's use a basic one like calculate two numbers, right? So beginning, you know that okay, I'll be dealing with two numbers, mean that I'll be needing variables, right? And if it's two numbers, mean that I'll be doing some calculation and stuff. So I can use a function, right? Where the function will take two parameters. So you know that okay, I have a function for this problem. I can use a function to solve it. So you have a function first. You know that it's two numbers. So mean that I'll be having these parameters. It'll be A and B inside a function. Okay, inside a function, that's where you ask yourself, what are they asking me to do? Add two numbers. So, okay, let me be, and the answer or return is equal to the A plus B, or the number one plus the number two, right? Okay, no, okay, I have my function. So this is my function. Then I'll return the answer. Then you come, if I want to use this function, how am I going to use this function? Okay, I'll declare a variable called results, which will call the function. Then if I call the function, I need to put in the function will require me to add this particular the numbers that I want to add, right? Then okay, then I'll have to add this number. If you are taking input for the users to okay, then we allow the user to enter these two different numbers. Then these two numbers will pass in as an argument to the function. Then I can go about it. So I think these things for how to go about it doesn't come natural. You may understand the code, but your thought process of solving for so it's the problem. So programming and pseudocode, everything, those things are it's programming is your problem solving because someone may know how to code, you will understand all the syntax as far as programming is concerned. But if you give the person problem to solve and the person may not understand it. So your thought process, you look you have to be able to break the problem down into chunks of pieces so that we can know, okay, let me take this piece. So it's called divide and conquer, right? Let me take this piece. How am I able to, what is this thing saying? Let me do this. So the only thing you have to know, like, as far as this studio code is concerned, is your variables, how you can be able to deduce those concepts from your statements. Whether it's a condition, you need a condition, you need a function, you need a iteration, you need a loop, you need an input output, or you need a variable, right? It's up to you to deduce from there. And you see, it doesn't come natural as sorry, it don't come automatic as you're doing it bit by bit. You begin to understand how to go about it, right? Yeah, because with the problem we solve, we cannot start with your this right? As a beginner, you cannot start with this, but maybe a senior developer can start with the code. Know that, oh, fine. If I start with this, mean that I have to create a result. And the result to take a function. Someone can start from the bottom here up to the down here before. So maybe the person can be like the last thing to create was the function. But in a normal way, you start with the function, which will be there. Then the function, you specify what the function is supposed to do. Then later you write a code and be using the function to solve the problems, right? So based on how to do, you see, as you are moving forward, you begin to find different way of solving the one particular problem, starting with your thought process. But then it starts from gradually solving simple questions. As time goes on, you just master how you can go about it. So as 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 in how to go about solving a problem there, it doesn't as you need to understand the problem and know the concepts that may be applied, right?
Sure.
Yeah. Because as I started learning how to program today, I feel the same thing. But then as time goes, I get to realize, okay, if you are given this particular problem, this is how I'll start with this. I'll start with the function first, or I'll start with this one first. So the more you're going, the more you see, you just develop uh, a way around, right?
Mm.
All right. So I want to so Doc would like to catch up with you guys if possible on Monday or Thursday 6 p.m. So if you guys should decide and maybe you let's so that you guys can wrap up with the rest of the topics that is left. Right. So that's Monday 6 p.m. or Thursday 6 p.m. right? So I mean, you guys can discuss this then. Get back to him. So we can end it here. You guys can try the calculate the this one, the UP calculator. Then I was talking about. Maybe if you're facing any challenge, you can just test me. Then we see how best I can help you to solve that problem. And I bet you, if you really do that question, that particular problem on your own, you have the confidence to start writing projects like write program, because you may use all the concepts we've gone through since last week to this week, and you may think a lot. And if you see, that's the only thing I did as I was started learning how to program, and it really boosts my morale. Because as I was able to do it, I really, even though I wasn't really a pro, but to be able to do that, I feel like I can do more. And I mean, I was able to learn and move forward. Right. So always you need to do something that will challenge you, and that's what will boost your morale to learn more. Okay. So yeah, we can end it here. And as I said, Doug want to meet you guys Monday or Thursday 6 p.m. So you can decide and let him know your feedback or revert back to him. Okay. So thank you for joining.
Hey.
And yeah, bye there.
Yes, sir, please. You said we should program GPA calculator.
Yeah, like GPA, maybe taking like 6 courses, right? I think 6 courses from the user, then based on that. So what we did today was just one course. Like
Okay.
calculated. Yeah, so you can take
So
maybe
six.
different number of, maybe you can use the number of courses you are doing. You can take
Okay.
from the user. Then you just so you after getting maybe if the person had 80 this one, you add or
Hmm.